The polished marble floor of the lobby gleams under the soft, recessed lighting, reflecting the disgust on my husband's face. He doesn't see me yet. He's too busy trying to tower over the petite receptionist, his voice, usually so smooth and charming, now tight with a rising, ugly impatience. Beside him, a woman I've never met, but whose perfume I've smelled on his shirts for months, shifts her weight, her designer handbag slipping a little on her slender shoulder. She looks annoyed, like this delay is a personal affront to her weekend plans. Our weekend plans, actually. Our honeymoon. The one he's apparently decided to take with her. There must be some mistake. Mark seethes, his hand slapping the pristine counter. The sound echoes a little too loudly in the otherwise serene space. The reservation is under Mark Peterson.
Présidentielle suite.
Booked months ago. The receptionist, bless her composure, offers a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. I'm sorry, sir, but we have no reservation under that name for the presidential suite. In fact, the entire wing is currently under new directives. New directives?
He scoffs.
What does that even mean? I want to speak to your manager.
Now.
His companion, Chloe, I've learned her name is, from the discreet little monogram on the luggage tag he thought I wouldn't notice, places a calming hand on his arm. Or maybe it's a proprietary one. It's hard to tell from this distance, through the subtle tremor of rage that's starting to vibrate through my own veins. But I keep my smile as serene as the receptionist's. This is a performance, after all, and I've been rehearsing my part for weeks. He shrugs her hand off, his face flushing a deeper red. This is unacceptable. This is our honeymoon. A small, choked sound escapes me. I can't help it. Our honeymoon. The sheer, unadulterated audacity. He actually said it, with her standing right there. The sound makes him turn. His eyes, those blue eyes I once thought held the universe, scan the lobby, irritated. Then they find me, and they freeze. The color drains from his face, leaving it a sickly, mottled white. Chloe follows his gaze, her perfectly sculpted eyebrows arching in confusion, then dawning, horrified comprehension as she looks from him to me, and back again. The expensive handbag slides forgotten from her shoulder, hitting the marble with a dull, unsatisfying thud. For a moment, the entire world seems to stop. The quiet hum of the air conditioning, the distant clink of glasses from the bar, even my own heartbeat, it all just pauses. He looks like he's seen a ghost. And in a way, he has. The ghost of the woman he thought he could fool. The ghost of the life he thought he'd so cleverly destroyed. The silence stretches, taut and humming, before he finally chokes out my name, a question, an accusation, a plea, all tangled into one pathetic sound. Sarah? What are you doing here? I let a small, satisfied smile play on my lips. Funny, Mark. I was about to ask you the same thing. If you've ever felt that cold dread turn into a white-hot resolve, that moment where the world tilts and you realize you have to fight back with everything you've got, let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're new here, please subscribe. It means more than you know to be able to share these stories. Our life, before the cracks started to show, felt like one of those perfectly curated Instagram feeds. Sunny Sunday mornings with expensive coffee and the thick rustle of newspaper pages. Shared laughter over silly movies, his arm heavy and warm around my shoulders. We had a little cottage, not grand, but ours, with a climbing rose bush I babbied and a slightly lopsided porch swing where we'd sit on summer evenings, dreaming aloud. Mark was a charmer, always knew the right thing to say, the right gesture to make. He had this way of looking at me, like I was the only thing that mattered, a look that could melt away any doubt, any worry. Or so I believed. We'd been married for 5 years. 5 years of what I thought was building a life, brick by loving brick. The honeymoon, our first real extravagant vacation since the wedding, was supposed to be a celebration of that. A recommitment, almost. We'd saved for it, planned it meticulously. This hotel, the Serenity Cove, was his pick. Only the best for my queen, he'd said, kissing my forehead, his eyes crinkling with that smile I adored. He'd shown me the brochures, glossy pages filled with images of pristine beaches, turquoise waters, and opulent suites. "The presidential suite," he'd whispered, tracing the picture with his finger. "This is where we'll make new memories, Sarah. Just you and me." I remember tracing the outline of his hand, feeling a thrill of anticipation, a deep, comforting sense of being cherished. How could I have been so blind? Looking back, the signs were probably there, little red flags fluttering at the periphery of my blissful vision. The late nights at work that became more frequent. The way he started guarding his phone, angling it away if I came too close. The faint, unfamiliar scent that clung to his clothes sometimes, a sweet, cloying fragrance that wasn't mine. I'd brushed it all aside. Work stress, I'd told myself. Paranoia. He loved me. He wouldn't. He was in finance, a world of numbers and high-stakes deals I barely understood. I was a freelance graphic designer, working from home, immersed in colors and fonts. Our worlds were different, but I thought they complemented each other. He was the pragmatic one. I was the dreamer. He grounded me. I thought I brought light to his often stressful life. He encouraged my small business, celebrated my little wins. When I landed a big contract a couple of years ago, enough for a down payment on a small commercial space I wanted to convert into a co-working studio, he was my biggest cheerleader. "See, Sarah? You're brilliant," he'd said, spinning me around in the kitchen. "Anything you set your mind to, that money, that dream, it sat waiting, an untouched potential." I'd been too cautious, too unsure to take the leap with the studio. Little did I know how that nest egg would eventually be used. The planning for the honeymoon was my escape, my happy place. I'd spent hours researching local restaurants, excursions, even the best spots on the beach to watch the sunset. Mark seemed enthusiastic too, in his own way. He'd nod along, make approving noises, but mostly leave the details to me. "You're so good at this stuff, babe," he'd say, a casual pat on my arm. At the time, I took it as a compliment, a sign of his trust. Now I see it as disinterest.
Detachment.
He was already planning a different version of this trip, wasn't he? The last few months leading up to D-Day, or rather, H-Day, honeymoon day, he'd become distant. Not unkind, not obviously, but there was a subtle shift. A coolness in his eyes when he thought I wasn't looking. More unexplained absences. He'd started going to the gym more, buying new clothes. "Just want to look good for you on our trip," he'd winked, and I, like a fool, had blushed and felt a fresh wave of love. He was making an effort. For me. The betrayal, when it finally hit, wasn't a sudden explosion. It was more like a slow, creeping realization, a dawning horror that chilled me from the inside out. It began with an innocuous email notification on his laptop, which he'd left open on the kitchen counter one morning. He'd run out for milk, a rare occurrence. Usually, he was meticulous about closing everything down. The subject line was simply, "Confirmation, CHLOE." My heart gave a strange little flutter.
Chloe?
I didn't know any Chloes. Not close ones, anyway. Curiosity, that fatal, human flaw, got the better of me. My hand trembled as I nudged the trackpad, waking the screen. It wasn't an email he'd received. It was one he was drafting. And it was addressed to a name I didn't recognize, but the content was a gut punch. "Can't wait to feel the sun on our skin, miles away from all the stress. This will be our real beginning, see.
Just like we talked about.
The Serenity Cove awaits. The Serenity Cove. Our hotel. Our honeymoon suite." My breath hitched. My vision tunneled. The cheerful yellow of our kitchen walls seemed to pulse menacingly. Attached to the draft was a flight confirmation. 2 tickets. One for Mark Peterson. The other for Chloe Davies. Departing on the same day we were supposed to leave. Arriving at the same destination. My legs went weak. I gripped the counter, the cold granite biting into my palms.
It couldn't be.
It just couldn't. I scrolled down, my blood like ice water in my veins.
There were more drafts.
Fragments of messages. "She suspects nothing, almost free. Just a few more weeks of playing house. That's what our life was to him. Our home, Our dreams, our 5 years together, a charade. Each word was a fresh stab, twisting deeper into the naive, trusting heart I'd so willingly given him. The rose-tinted glasses I'd been wearing didn't just crack, they shattered, leaving me blinking in a harsh, ugly new light. The man I loved, the man I'd built my world around, was a stranger, a liar, and he was meticulously planning to replace me, using the very dream he'd pretended to build with me as the stage for his grand betrayal. The sound of his key in the lock jolted me. I slammed the laptop shut, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I stumbled back, trying to compose myself, to wipe the shock and horror from my face before he could see it. He walked in, smiling, holding up the carton of milk like a trophy. "Mission accomplished," he said, his voice breezy, oblivious. Looking at him then, at that familiar, beloved face, now overlaid with the monstrous truth I'd just uncovered, was like looking at a cleverly made mask. I felt a wave of nausea so profound, I thought I would be sick right there on the kitchen floor. But I swallowed it down. Swallowed the bile, the tears, the scream that was clawing its way at my throat. In that instant, something inside me shifted. The pain was still there, raw and gaping, but a tiny, cold ember of something else ignited. Anger. And a chilling, unfamiliar clarity. He thought I suspected nothing. He thought he could just discard me. He had no idea who he was dealing with. Not anymore. The first few days after the discovery are a blur of forced smiles and a hollow ache in my chest that never quite goes away. I move through our house like a ghost, a spectator to my own crumbling life. Every shared memory is now tainted, every loving gesture a lie replaying in my mind with horrifying new clarity. Did he ever love me? Or was I just convenient? A comfortable placeholder until someone better, someone like Chloe, came along? The questions claw at me, keep me awake at night, staring at the ceiling, the man beside me snoring softly, completely unaware of the storm raging inside me. I don't confront him. Not yet. The element of surprise, I realize, is my only weapon. He thinks I'm naive, trusting Sarah. He's counting on it. If I show my hand too soon, he'll just adapt, gaslight me, deny everything, and find another way to execute his plan. No, I need proof. Irrefutable proof. And I need a strategy. This isn't just about catching him. It's about,
I don't even know what it's about yet.
survival, maybe. Or perhaps a small, dark part of me whispers, something more satisfying. I start to watch him. Really watch him. Not as a wife, but as a detective. I notice the way his eyes linger a little too long on his phone, the secretive smiles that play on his lips when he thinks I'm not looking, the late-night, work emergencies that always seem to coincide with him showering and changing into fresh clothes, the gym bag that sometimes comes back smelling not of sweat, but of that same sweet, cloying perfume. Chloe's perfume. I become a digital archaeologist, sifting through the ruins of our shared online life. I check phone records. Our family plan gives me access. There are hundreds of calls and texts to a number I don't recognize. Chloe's number, I presume. Late at night, early in the morning, during work hours. Their communication is constant, an invisible thread connecting them, weaving a web of deceit around me. Credit card statements reveal dinners I wasn't invited to, gifts I never received, a delicate gold bracelet from a boutique I'd once admired, now likely gracing her wrist. Each discovery is a fresh twist of the knife, but it also fuels that cold ember of resolve. He senses something is off, I think. I'm quieter, more withdrawn. I can't quite manage the same easy affection, the casual touches. I flinch internally whenever he tries to be intimate. He puts it down to pre-honeymoon stress, or so he says. "You seem tense, babe," he murmurs one evening, trying to pull me close on the sofa. "Just tired," I reply, my voice flat, pulling away to get some water. His brow furrows for a moment, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes, but then he shrugs it off, turning back to the TV. He's too confident, too arrogant to imagine I could ever uncover his sordid little secret. The hardest part is pretending. Smiling when he talks about our trip. Nodding when he says how much he's looking forward to it. Inside, I'm screaming. I'm a whirlwind of grief and fury. But on the outside, I maintain a fragile composure.
I have to.
For the plan that's slowly, terrifyingly, beginning to form in the darkest corners of my mind. A plan so audacious, so outrageous, it almost makes me laugh. Or maybe cry. One afternoon, while he's supposedly at a client meeting, I find a small, velvet jeweler's box tucked away in his sock drawer. My heart plummets. An engagement ring? Is he planning to propose to her on our honeymoon in our suite? The audacity is breathtaking. My hands shake as I open it. It's not an engagement ring. It's a diamond pendant. Expensive, tasteful, and clearly not for me. It's the final insult, the confirmation that this isn't just a fling. He's building a new life, a new future, with her. And I'm just the collateral damage. I close the box, a bitter taste in my mouth. For a moment, I'm tempted to smash it, to confront him, to unleash the torrent of pain and rage I've been suppressing for weeks. But the image of his smug, surprised face in that hotel lobby, the one I'm starting to meticulously orchestrate in my head, holds me back.
No.
Not yet. Patience, Sarah. Patience. Your turn will come. And it will be so much sweeter if he never sees it coming. The challenges mount, each one a fresh wave threatening to drown me. Mark grows bolder in his carelessness, or perhaps just more confident in my obliviousness. He leaves his phone unlocked more often, and I catch glimpses of messages from C, filled with heart emojis and impatient longing. Counting down the days, one reads,
So am I, Chloe, so am I.
Just not for the same reasons. He starts taking calls in other rooms, his voice low and intimate, a tone he rarely uses with me anymore unless he's trying to sell the fantasy of our upcoming trip. His gaslighting, when I try to gently probe, is masterful. One evening, I mention he seems distracted. Just a lot on my mind with work, Sarah. You know how it is before a big break. Trying to tie up loose ends so I can focus completely on you, on us, at Serenity Cove. He even cups my face, his expression earnest, his eyes searching mine for any sign of doubt. For a sickening moment, I almost waver, almost believe him. The old Sarah, the trusting Sarah, wants to. But the new Sarah, the one forged in betrayal, sees the calculation in his gaze, the subtle lie behind the loving words. The perfume. Chloe's perfume. It's everywhere now. On his jackets, in his car, a faint, lingering ghost of her presence in our home. I start to feel like I'm going insane, smelling her scent on things that should only smell of him, of us. One day, I find a long, blonde hair. Mine is dark brown, on the passenger seat of his car. I hold it up to the light, a single strand, yet it feels as heavy as an anchor, pulling me down into a sea of despair. My friends notice the change in me. You okay, Sarah? My best friend, Lisa, asks over coffee, her brow furrowed with concern. You seem distant, and you've lost weight. I want to confide in her, to pour out the whole sordid story, but I can't. Not yet. This plan, this fragile, audacious plan, needs absolute secrecy. So I force a smile. Just stressed about the trip, you know. Want everything to be perfect. She doesn't look convinced, but she lets it go for now. The isolation is crushing. I'm navigating this minefield alone, with no one to lean on, no one to validate the insanity I'm living through. The financial aspect of my budding idea is daunting. The Serenity Cove is a luxury resort. Buying it or even a significant stake in it seems impossible. But the universe, in its own twisted way, sometimes provides. Remember that nest egg for the co-working studio? It's substantial. And then a call from my lawyer. A small portfolio of stocks my grandfather left me, one I'd almost forgotten about, has matured spectacularly. It's a windfall. Unexpected. Significant. Enough to make the impossible seem plausible. The irony isn't lost on me. The money I'd earmarked for building a future, a creative dream, might now be used to dismantle a nightmare. I start researching the hotel group that owns Serenity Cove. Late nights, after Mark is asleep, I'm hunched over my laptop, not designing logos, but deciphering financial reports, looking for vulnerabilities, for opportunities. My graphic design skills come in handy in unexpected ways. I can spot patterns, understand branding, see the bigger picture. I learn the hotel group has been struggling lately, overextended, looking to offload some of its less critical assets to consolidate. Serenity Cove, while beautiful and prestigious, is geographically isolated from their main cluster of properties. It's a potential target. The stress is immense. I'm leading a double life. By day, the dutiful wife, discussing packing lists and excursion options with a man who is actively betraying me. By night, a clandestine financial operative, making discreet inquiries, talking to brokers, lawyers, always using burner phones, untraceable emails. The fear of discovery is constant. What if he checks our finances? What if he overhears a call? One evening, he comes home early, finds me on a video call with a stern-faced financial advisor based 3 time zones away. My heart leaps into my throat. I quickly minimize the window, stammering something about a new design client. He raises an eyebrow. Big international client, huh? Keeping secrets from me, he teases, but there's an edge to his voice, a flicker of suspicion in his eyes. I laugh it off, a brittle, unconvincing sound even to my own ears. Just trying to surprise you with how much I can earn, I say, trying to sound playful. He doesn't look entirely convinced, but he lets it drop, distracted by a message pinging on his phone. A message from C, no doubt. I watch him smile down at the screen, and the fear recedes, replaced by that familiar cold resolve. He's too wrapped up in his own deceit to truly see mine. The closer we get to the honeymoon date, the more unbearable the charade becomes. He's almost giddy with anticipation, a cruel parody of a loving husband excited for a romantic getaway. He talks about the presidential suite, the private beach, the candlelit dinners. It's going to be perfect, Sarah. Just perfect. Each word is a tiny pinprick, a reminder of the depth of his betrayal. Sometimes, I have to physically leave the room, pretending I've forgotten something, just to breathe, to stop myself from screaming the truth in his face. The weight of it all, the lies, the secrecy, the constant vigilance, it's exhausting. There are moments I want to give up, to just walk away, leave him to his sordid affair. But then I picture her, Chloe, smug and triumphant, lounging in my suite on my honeymoon, and the anger, cold and sharp, cuts through the despair, spurring me on. This isn't just about him anymore. It's about her too. It's about reclaiming what they're trying to steal. The discovery that he's taking Chloe to our honeymoon destination, to the very suite we'd painstakingly chosen together, isn't just a blow, it's a detonation. It rips through the fragile composure I've been maintaining, leaving me breathless with a rage, so profound it's almost paralyzing. For a full day, I can barely function. The sheer, unmitigated gall of it. He's not just cheating on me. He's defiling our shared dreams, turning our sacred space into the backdrop for his tawdry affair. He's literally replacing me in the fantasy he helped me build. I sit on our bed, the brochures for Serenity Cove scattered around me, his smiling face in our wedding photos on the nightstand mocking me. The pain is a living thing, coiling in my stomach, squeezing my chest. How could he be so cruel, so utterly devoid of empathy? Does he really think so little of me, of our years together? The desire to confront him, to scream, to shatter the facade of our life, is overwhelming. But then, as I stare at the glossy image of the presidential suite, a different thought begins to surface, insidious and thrilling. What if I could turn his grand romantic gesture for his mistress into his ultimate humiliation? What if, instead of just watching him destroy our memories, I could take control of the narrative? The hotel itself, Serenity Cove. It was meant to be our sanctuary. He's trying to corrupt it. What if I could purify it, reclaim it? The idea, when it first flickers into existence, is insane, preposterous. I'm a graphic designer, not a corporate raider. But the windfall from my grandfather's stocks, combined with my studio fund, it's a significant sum. Maybe not enough to buy the whole hotel outright initially, but perhaps enough for a controlling interest, enough to make a serious play, especially if the parent company is looking to divest. I remember my late grandfather, a shrewd businessman who always told me, "Sarah, in any negotiation, know your opponent's weaknesses and your own strengths. And always have an exit strategy that benefits you most." His words echo in my mind, a sudden beacon. Mark's weakness is his arrogance, his belief in his own cleverness, and my supposed naivety. My strength? He has no idea what I'm capable of, no inkling of the resources I now command, or the steel that's hardening my spine. The research intensifies. I dive headfirst into the world of hotel acquisitions, leveraged buyouts, and shell corporations. My design studio becomes a war room. Charts and spreadsheets replace color palettes and mood boards. I learn about due diligence, about NDAs, about the intricate dance of high-stakes negotiation. It's a steep learning curve, fraught with anxiety and the constant fear of exposure. I consult with the best financial advisors and lawyers money can buy, all under the strictest secrecy. They're skeptical at first, this quietly determined woman talking about taking over a luxury resort as a form of what? Revenge? Justice? But my seriousness, my preparation, and the undeniable heft of my available capital soon win them over. There are days when the sheer audacity of it all makes me dizzy. Am I really doing this? Am I really about to gamble my financial future, my emotional well-being, on such an elaborate, high-stakes gambit? The old Sarah would have recoiled in horror. But the old Sarah is gone. Betrayal has burned her away, leaving someone leaner, harder, more focused. Someone who understands that sometimes the only way to fight fire is with an inferno. Mark, oblivious, continues his preparations for his romantic getaway. He buys new resort wear, expensive luggage. He even asks my opinion on a new pair of swimming trunks. Think you like these? He asks, holding them up. He almost slipped. The near admission hangs in the air, but he recovers quickly, too absorbed in his own fantasy. I manage a tight smile. They're fine, I say, my voice carefully neutral. Inside, the new plan solidifies from a wild idea into a concrete objective. He's planning his perfect illicit escape. I'm planning his perfect downfall. And the stage for both will be the same, the Serenity Cove. The place where his dream vacation with his mistress will become his public nightmare, orchestrated by the wife he so casually discarded. The shift is complete. I'm no longer just a victim of his betrayal. I'm the architect of his comeuppance. The pressure of leading this double life becomes almost unbearable. I'm a tightrope walker, inching my way across a chasm of lies, with Mark on one side, oblivious and smug, and my secret army of lawyers and financiers on the other, working diligently to secure my victory. Every phone call is a risk, every email a potential exposure. I use burner phones, encrypted messaging apps, meet my advisors in anonymous coffee shops miles from our home. I lose weight. Sleep becomes a luxury I can rarely afford, my mind constantly racing, replaying conversations, checking figures, imagining scenarios. Mark, if anything, becomes more affectionate, more attentive, as the departure date nears. It's a sickeningly sweet performance, designed, I realize, to ensure my continued ignorance, to keep me happy and unsuspecting until he can make his clean break. He brings me flowers, makes my favorite dinners, talks endlessly about our future after this much-needed romantic reboot. Each gesture of false affection is like salt in an open wound, but it also steels my resolve. He's so confident, so certain of his success, so dismissive of my intelligence and perception. He's practically gift-wrapping his own destruction. The negotiations for the Serenity Cove are brutal and complex. The parent company is indeed looking to sell, but they're savvy, driving a hard bargain. There are moments I think the deal will fall through. One late night, after a particularly grueling call with the seller's representatives, I almost break. I sit in my darkened home office, the glow of the monitor illuminating my tear-streaked face. What am I doing? Is this worth it? The pain, the anger, the sheer exhaustion. Maybe I should just let him go, let them have their sordid little tryst. Let karma deal with him. But then, I remember the casual cruelty in his draft emails to Chloe. She suspects nothing, almost free, playing house. I remember the sight of that blonde hair on his car seat. I remember the way he almost said Chloe's name when asking about the swimming trunks. The thought of them together, laughing, touching, in a suite that was meant for Mark and me, on the honeymoon that was meant to celebrate our love, ignites a fresh surge of cold fury. This isn't just about karma hitting later. This is about me, taking control right now. This is about ensuring he understands the magnitude of his betrayal, not in some distant future, but in the very moment he thinks he's won. My legal team is incredible. They find leverage points I never would have seen, navigate complex financial instruments, and shield me from the direct intensity of the negotiations. The final offer is made. It's audacious, stretching my resources to their absolute limit. For 3 agonizing days, we wait. 3 days where I barely eat, barely sleep, jumping at every ring of my burner phone. Mark, oblivious, hums happily as he packs his new resort wear, occasionally asking me if I've packed my sunscreen or my favorite beach dress. The dissonance between his cheerful preparations and my silent, nerve-shredding wait is surreal. I feel like I'm living in 2 separate realities. Then, the call comes. My lead lawyer's voice is calm, professional, but I can hear the undertone of triumph. "Sarah," he says, "congratulations. The Serenity Cove is yours. The deal closes tomorrow morning, fully executed before market open. You are the official new owner, effective immediately upon signing." A wave of dizziness washes over me. I sink into my chair, my hand clutching the phone. It's done. I've actually done it. I own the hotel. The stage for his ultimate betrayal is now the stage for mine. A strange calm settles over me, a chilling sense of power. The exhaustion, the fear, the doubt, they recede, replaced by a steely, quiet determination. The hunter is about to become the hunted. The final days are a blur of covert instructions to my new hotel management team, who are, to put it mildly, shocked and intrigued by their new, hands-on owner and her very specific, very unusual directives for the upcoming weekend. I arrange for a trusted few, including the impeccably discreet receptionist I'll later rely on, to be flown in. There can be no leaks, no mistakes. Everything has to be perfect. Mark is in high spirits, practically bouncing off the walls. "Can you believe it, Sarah? Tomorrow, we'll be in paradise," he exclaims, kissing me with a theatrical passion that turns my stomach. I manage a smile. "I can't wait," I say, and for once, I'm telling the absolute truth. I can't wait to see the look on his face when his carefully constructed paradise crumbles around him. The predatory glint in my own eyes, I'm sure, is hidden well behind a facade of wifely anticipation. He has no idea he's walking into a trap of his own making, a trap I now own, lock, stock, and presidential suite. The final signing of the hotel purchase documents happens via secure video link just hours before Mark and I are due to leave for the airport, or rather, before he is due to leave with Chloe. My hand is steady as I sign my name, my new title stark beneath it, Sarah Peterson, owner, the Serenity Cove Resorts. A small, humorless smile touches my lips. Mrs. Peterson is about to check out, but Ms. Peterson, the owner, is just checking in. I watch him pack, a strange detachment settling over me. He meticulously folds his new shirts, his expensive swimming trunks, the ones he almost asked if Chloe would like. He checks his watch constantly, a nervous energy thrumming beneath his cheerful facade. He thinks he's hours away from his new life, his new love. He has no idea he's hurtling towards a collision with reality, a reality I've painstakingly engineered. "You seem quiet," he says, pausing in his packing to look at me. "Everything okay, babe?" "Just savoring the moment," I reply, my voice smooth, almost purring. "Anticipation, you know." He grins, misinterpreting my words entirely. "Me too." God, me too. He zips his suitcase with a flourish. Right, I'm just going to pop out for a bit. Last-minute errands, you know. Make sure everything's absolutely perfect for when we land. Of course, I say. Take your time, he kisses me goodbye, a quick, almost dismissive peck on the cheek. And then he's gone. Off to pick up Chloe, no doubt. Off to start their grand adventure. The moment the door closes behind him, I spring into action. My own bag is already packed, not for a honeymoon, but for a business trip. A very specific, very satisfying business trip. My flight, booked under my maiden name, leaves an hour before his. I'll be there, waiting, not as the heartbroken wife, but as the silent, unseen power, the new queen of the Serenity Cove. The game is set. The players are moving into position. And I hold all the cards. The feeling isn't triumph, not yet. It's a cold, hard certainty. A sense of an inevitable, perfectly orchestrated collision. He's aimed a wrecking ball at my life. He just doesn't realize I've bought the entire demolition company. The flight is smooth. I spend it reviewing the final details with my new general manager via encrypted text. He's a seasoned professional, initially bewildered by my directives, but now, I sense, rather enjoying the unfolding drama. The presidential suite is prepared as per your exact specifications, Ms. Peterson, he messages. And the front desk staff are fully briefed. We anticipate a memorable check-in experience for Mr. Peterson and his companion. I allow myself a small, grim smile. Memorable is an understatement. I land, pass through customs with an air of detached efficiency, and a private car, arranged by the hotel, my hotel, whisks me away. Arriving at the Serenity Cove as its owner is a surreal experience. The staff, discreet and impeccably trained, greet me with a deference that is entirely new. There are no fawning pleasantries, just quiet respect. I'm escorted not to the presidential suite, but to the owner's private apartment, a secluded villa with its own entrance, overlooking the chaos that is about to unfold. From my vantage point, a discreetly curtained window in a small, private office just off the main lobby, I watch them arrive. Mark and Chloe. He's swaggering slightly, his arm possessively around her waist. She's looking around with wide, appreciative eyes, already envisioning her luxurious stay. They look like a conquering king and his new queen, arriving to claim their spoils. The irony is so thick, I can almost taste it. And now we're back to where we started. The gleaming lobby, the polite receptionist, Mark's rising tide of indignant fury. He doesn't see me. He's too consumed by his own self-importance, his outrage that the world isn't bending to his will. There must be some mistake, he's saying, his voice tight. The reservation is under Mark Peterson.
Présidentielle suite.
The receptionist, a wonderfully composed young woman named Anna, whom I personally interviewed and briefed, shakes her head with an air of polite regret. I'm sorry, sir, but we have no such reservation. The presidential suite, and indeed this entire wing, is currently unavailable due to unforeseen ownership directives. Ownership directives? Mark scoffs, his face mottling with color. What in God's name does that mean? I paid for this. I have the confirmation. He fumbles in his jacket pocket, pulling out his phone, ready to display the evidence of his booking, a booking I had my team flag and cancel the moment the hotel purchase was finalized. Chloe places a hand on his arm. Mark, darling, perhaps there's just a small mix-up. Let's not make a scene. Her voice is placating, but her eyes dart around the opulent lobby, a flicker of anxiety in their depths. This isn't the smooth, luxurious arrival she was expecting. A scene? Mark practically bellows, shrugging off her hand. They're telling me my honeymoon suite, our honeymoon suite, is unavailable. I demand to speak to the manager. He slams his hand on the counter again. This is outrageous. Our honeymoon, he says it again, the words echoing in the suddenly very quiet lobby. Several guests, lounging nearby, turn to stare. The air crackles with tension. This is it. My cue. I step out from the shadows of the small office alcove, my heels clicking softly on the marble floor. I let the sound announce my presence before I speak. Actually, Mark, I say, my voice calm, cool, carrying easily across the space. I believe there's been a slight misunderstanding. He whirls around, his face a mask of disbelief. The blood drains from his features, leaving him looking pale and suddenly very small. Chloe, her perfectly applied lipstick a slash of red in her now ashen face, stares at me, her mouth falling open. The designer handbag she'd retrieved now slips from her nerveless fingers again, landing with a soft thud. No one bothers to pick it up. Sarah? Mark chokes out my name. It's a whisper of pure shock. What are you doing here? He looks from me to Chloe, then back to me, confusion warring with a dawning, terrible understanding in his eyes. I allow myself a small, slow smile. The kind of smile a cat gives before it pounces. Funny, Mark. I was about to ask you the same thing. Especially you, Chloe. I don't believe we've been formally introduced, though I feel I know your perfume intimately. Chloe flushes a violent, unbecoming crimson. She looks like she wants the marble floor to swallow her whole. Mark just stares, speechless, his jaw working silently. You see, I continue, my voice still light, almost conversational, though a core of steel underlies every word. There seems to be a problem with your, honeymoon booking. I savor the word, letting it hang in the air. The presidential suite, as Anna correctly stated, is indeed unavailable. But I booked it. I paid for it. Mark finally finds his voice, though it's laced with a tremor he can't quite control. This is insane. You can't just cancel my booking. Oh, I think I can, I say, tilting my head slightly. Given the circumstances, I pause, letting the silence stretch, enjoying the way his eyes dart around, looking for an escape, an explanation, anything but the truth that's slowly dawning on his arrogant face. You see, Mark, there's been a change in management here at the Serenity Cove. A rather significant 1 inch. I take another step closer, stopping just a few feet from them. I can smell Chloe's cloying perfume, now mingled with the scent of her fear. Good. As of yesterday morning, I announce, my voice clear and carrying to every corner of the suddenly wrapped lobby, I am the new owner of this hotel. The silence that follows is absolute. Even the distant clinking of glasses from the bar seems to stop. Mark's jaw literally drops. He looks at me, then at Anna the receptionist, who gives a small, almost imperceptible nod, then back at me. His face cycles through a kaleidoscope of emotions, utter disbelief, confusion, a flicker of fear, and then a rising tide of furious, impotent rage. You what? He sputters, his voice cracking. You're lying. This is some kind of sick joke. Oh, it's no joke, Mark, I assure him, my smile widening just a fraction. It's business. My business. And my first order of business, as the new proprietor of the Serenity Cove, is to ensure the moral hygiene of my establishment. I let my gaze drift pointedly to Chloe, who shrinks under my scrutiny. And frankly, adulterous honeymoon crashers rather lower the tone, don't you think? Chloe makes a small, strangled sound and takes a step back, as if wanting to dissociate herself from the escalating disaster. Mark's face is now a terrifying shade of puce. He takes a step towards me, his fists clenching. You bitch. You did this to spite me. You think you can ruin our trip? Our trip. I raise an eyebrow. Darling, I believe the term you're looking for is your trip. With her, I flick my eyes towards Chloe again, who now looks utterly humiliated, tears welling in her eyes. As for ruining it, consider it rerouted. Permanently. You see, under the new ownership, my ownership, individuals who engage in deceitful and morally bankrupt behavior, especially behavior that seeks to defraud and humiliate their spouses, are not welcome at the Serenity Cove. In fact, you're both now officially on the persona non grata list. Permanently. You can't do this, he roars, his voice echoing. Two discreet but very large security guards, also part of my new handpicked team, begin to move subtly closer. I'll sue you. I'll sue the hotel. You'll do nothing, Mark, I interrupt, my voice dropping to a dangerously quiet level. Because every cent you spent on this little romantic getaway, every booking, every non-refundable deposit, was made with marital funds. Our funds. Funds you were planning to squander on your companion. I pause, letting that sink in. And any attempt to make a scene will simply result in your immediate and very public removal from my property. I have video of your arrival, your demands, your rather charming companion. I wonder how that would play out on social media? Or perhaps with your employers. Adultery, public disturbance, it's not a good look, is it? His face crumples. The fight seems to drain out of him, replaced by a dawning horror.
He's trapped.
Utterly and completely trapped. He looks at Chloe, perhaps for support, but she's staring at the floor, her shoulders shaking. She offers no help, no defiance. She looks like a drenched kitten, all her expensive finery suddenly looking cheap and tawdry in the face of this raw, public humiliation. But why? He finally whispers, his voice hoarse, defeated. Why go to all this trouble? Why buy a hotel? I look him straight in the eye. All traces of amusement gone from my face, replaced by a cold, hard truth. Because you, Mark, you underestimated me. You thought I was a fool. You thought you could destroy our marriage, our life, our dreams, and just walk away into the sunset with her, on my dime, in my intended honeymoon suite. You tried to take everything from me. My dignity, my future, my trust. I take a deep breath. So, I decided to take something back. Something big. You wanted the Serenity Cove for your sordid little affair? Well, now I own it. And you, Mark Peterson, and your associate. I glance at Chloe again. Are not welcome here.
Not now.
Not ever. I nod to Anna. Anna, please ensure Mr. Peterson and Ms. Davies are escorted off the premises. And perhaps call them a taxi? I believe there's a rather less salubrious motel down the highway that might have vacancies. Though I doubt it offers a presidential suite. Mark makes a strangled, incoherent sound of pure rage and despair. Chloe is openly weeping now, mascara tracking down her perfectly made-up face. The security guards move in, firm but polite. This way, sir, madam. One of them murmurs. Mark looks at me one last time, his eyes filled with a potent mixture of hatred, disbelief, and a grudging, horrified respect. You won't get away with this, he manages to hiss, but there's no conviction in his voice. He knows he's lost. Utterly and spectacularly. Oh, Mark, I say, my voice soft, almost pitying. I already have. I watch them being escorted out, a pathetic, defeated pair. His shoulders are slumped. Her head is bowed in shame. The expensive luggage, which a bellhop had started to collect, is unceremoniously left on the curb with them. The automatic doors swish shut behind them, sealing their fate, sealing my victory. The lobby is silent for a moment, the remaining guests staring, wide-eyed. Then someone starts to clap. A slow, hesitant clap, then another, and another, until the whole lobby is filled with a surprising wave of applause. I feel a flush rise to my cheeks, a mixture of embarrassment and a fierce, undeniable pride. Anna, the receptionist, catches my eye and gives me a small, approving smile. My general manager appears at my elbow. Miss Peterson, he says, his voice carefully neutral, but with a hint of admiration. Your suite is ready. The owner's villa. Shall I escort you? I take a deep breath, the scent of expensive cleaning fluid and victory filling my lungs. The weight that's been crushing me for months seems to lift. Yes, James, I say, my voice clear and strong. That would be lovely as I walk away, leaving the scene of their utter humiliation behind me. I don't look back. There's nothing left to see. The old Sarah, the heartbroken wife, is gone. In her place stands Sarah Peterson, owner of the Serenity Cove. And she's just getting started. The immediate aftermath is less dramatic, more hollow. Once the adrenaline of the confrontation fades, a profound weariness settles in. I stand on the balcony of the owner's villa, overlooking the turquoise ocean, the same view Mark and Chloe had anticipated sharing from the presidential suite. It's breathtakingly beautiful, serene, just as the brochures promised. But there's an ache in my chest that even this stunning vista can't quite soothe. Victory is sweet, yes, undeniably so. Watching Mark's arrogant facade crumble, seeing Chloe's humiliation, there's a grim satisfaction in it that I won't deny. But it's a victory born from profound pain, from the ashes of a love I once believed was real. My phone buzzes. It's Lisa. Saw a very interesting video clip circulating from the Serenity Cove. Her message reads, followed by a string of shocked face emojis. Call me now. P.S. Did you buy a hotel? I smile, a genuine smile this time. The news is out. I call her, and the story tumbles out. No longer secret, no longer a burden carried alone. Her reaction is a mixture of outrage on my behalf, admiration for my audacity, and sheer, unadulterated glee at Mark's downfall. You absolute legend, she shrieks down the phone. I always knew he was a weasel, but this is epic. Her support, her validation, it's like a balm to my bruised soul. The next few days are a blur of legalities. Divorce proceedings are initiated immediately. Mark, predictably, tries to fight, to contest, to salvage something from the wreckage of his own making. But he has no leverage. The evidence of his affair is irrefutable. His public humiliation at the hotel, witnessed by dozens and discreetly recorded, paints a clear picture of his character. The prenuptial agreement we signed, one I'd insisted on with a foresight I didn't realize I possessed at the time, protects my assets, including my new, rather substantial hotel. He walks away with little more than his wounded pride and a reputation in tatters. Chloe, I hear through the grapevine, disappears from his life almost as quickly as she appeared, unwilling to be tied to such a spectacular fall from grace. Good riddance. Owning a luxury hotel is an experience. It's demanding, complex, a world away from freelance graphic design. But I find I have a knack for it. The attention to detail, the creativity, the ability to see the bigger picture, skills I honed in my old career, are surprisingly transferable. I throw myself into learning the business, working alongside James, my general manager, who proves to be an invaluable ally and mentor. There's a strange sense of purpose in it, in building something new from the ruins of something old. The Serenity Cove, once a symbol of betrayal, starts to become a symbol of my resilience, my reinvention. I don't keep the presidential suite as it was. I have it completely redecorated, stripped of any lingering ghosts of Mark's intended tryst. It becomes the Phoenix Suite, a nod to rising from the ashes. It's now the hotel's most sought-after booking, famous not just for its luxury, but for the story behind its transformation, a story that, in hushed, admiring tones, the staff sometimes share with curious guests. Do I miss Mark? Not the man he became, the liar, the cheat. But sometimes in quiet moments, I miss the man I thought he was, the man I loved for 5 years. That grief is real, a quiet undercurrent to my newfound strength. Betrayal leaves scars, even when you win the war. But they are scars that speak of survival, of battles fought and overcome. I decide to keep the hotel. It's more than just a business now. It's a part of me, a testament to the fact that even when your world is shattered, you can pick up the pieces and build something even more beautiful, something entirely your own. My co-working studio dream isn't dead either. I've found a new space, even better than the first, and the plans are underway. It seems I'm rather good at turning painful endings into powerful new beginnings. Life is different now. Quieter, in some ways. More focused. I'm stronger, more self-reliant, more aware of my own capabilities than I ever was before. The experience has been a crucible, forging me into someone new. Someone who understands that sometimes the greatest revenge isn't loud and fiery, but cold, calculated, and impeccably executed. Someone who knows that true serenity isn't found in a place, but within oneself. And I, Sarah Peterson, am finally, truly serene. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to reclaim your power from a painful situation, I'd love to hear your version in the comments. Where are you watching from tonight? What time is it there? Knowing there's a community out here, sharing these moments, it makes a world of difference. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Your support helps bring more of these stories to life. Thanks for being here with me.